cannot cite an inanimate object, and without it, it's a violation of our civil rights that we have the right to face our accuser. And basically, if you're taking an inanimate and citing an inanimate with it, there is no way that you have that right to obtainable right to face your accuser. And I think it should be banned and outlawed.
This is not a criminal or traffic court proceeding. Strict rules of evidence are not applied during these hearings, but due process shall be observed and govern these hearings. Based upon the testimony and evidence presented, which shall include a review of the photographic or electronic images and the streaming video, I will determine whether or not a violation of Florida law has occurred.
So the light was red when she made the turn, and I'll stop that again. Light is red, defendant's vehicle is behind the stop arm.
I actually feel like I was across that line when it turned, like at the same second it turned red, 3/10 of a second, and I'm crossing the line. It's kind of heavy in my opinion, but
I'm going to order you to pay the statutory penalty of $158 and the administrative cost of $100. Okay.
I can pay right now.
You can pay right now? Okay. So you can pay with credit card. I don't believe they accept cash and check. Okay. We can't take cash.
So you on the stop arm. This is also a transfer of liability from a cab company into the defendant's name. This is the B shot. There's the light still being red. The defendant is proceeding through the intersection. Time's been adjusted accordingly. This is a photo of the tag. It's been taken from the A shot. It is registered to Four Legs Enterprises, and they did a transfer of liability into Mr. Daniel's name as the driver of the vehicle at the time of the violation. And this is the video. When the light red proceeds through. Right there shows the light turning from yellow to red, and it's behind the stop arm. Light is now red, and it's still behind the stop arm. And proceeds through.
Anything further from the city?
We'd just like to put the video and the photos of evidence.
Any further witnesses or evidence?
They just have this.
Mr. McGann, do you have any questions of the city?
No, ma'am.
All right, and what would you like to tell me today?
It wasn't me.
All right, did you complete an affidavit?
No, ma'am, but I understood that to say if I knew who the driver was, I should do that, but I did not know who the driver was. I would have done that, but like I said, I understood it as meaning if I knew who the driver was of the car, I should do that, and I didn't.
All right, have you learned who the driver was at the time now?
No, ma'am. I'm no longer with that company. When I got the ticket, I called the owner, and he said, I'm not sure who was in the car, but somebody has to pay it, and that's what it was left at. He would not provide me with any information. My car was 58. I never drove 56.
Your Honor, up on the screen is a copy of the transfer of liability. Four Legs Enterprises.
Is that all it takes, though? You know, we didn't part on very good terms, so I'm not surprised, actually.
You can continue down with that affidavit, please.
Would it be easier for you to read it on paper?
No, I have good glasses.
There's a second page to that as well.
Okay, second page, please. And if you can go back to the video.
Light is yellow there. Turn red. It's red right there.
And Mr. McDaniel, were you sworn in earlier?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and were you working on July 20th?
Probably. But at that time, they had no backup cars. And I don't know if you know the process, but for me to change cars, I have to take the radio out of the car that I'm in because your number goes with the radio and put it into another car. And I never did that. Never did that.
How do you know that this was a different number than your vehicle?
It's right on the back of the car. You see the 56 on the back? Mine was 58. All the cars had a number.
Did you ever drive a backup car?
No, not at that time. Now, when I was with him previously, a year before, yes, he had backup cars. But at that particular time, he did not have any extra cars. He had drivers in all the cars. I had to wait for the mechanics to fix my stuff. There
When
was-
was your car broken or
Oh,
needed
it's-
to be repaired?
He had all his cars taken off the road about a month afterwards. There was basically repairs done probably once or twice a week on all the cars. But I had to wait at the garage for the mechanic to do it. I never took a backup
Which garage?
car. He changed that too on a weekly basis from the mechanics. There was one over there on 60th Avenue and 58th Street in St. Pete. I know it's far in the city roads actually.
What were your typical hours?
12 or 6 in the morning till 6 in the afternoon.
And is there a certain area or certain days during the week?
No, it was basically a 7-day week and anywhere in the St. Pete area, Reynolds Park area.
If you can bring me back to that affidavit once more, please.
Excuse me.
And if you could pull up the second photograph that you presented. And do the first.
If you go to the tag picture, you can see the number, that's what you're looking for. Is it 56, I think, right?
It's 56.
All right. Based upon the evidence presented here today, as well as the testimony and the documentation that was provided, I'm going to dismiss the violation.
Thank you.
Eric Kent.
Is that Kent?
Kent.
Thank you. Afternoon, Mr. Kent.
south. Defendant's vehicle is eastbound. It is another taxi cab. It is occurred on September the 9th, 2013, approximately 8:44 p.m. The yellow light had been in effect for 4.0 seconds, speed approximately 30 miles per hour. Then the red phase for 0.2 of a second. This is the defendant's vehicle, the red taxi here in lane number 3. And this is the B shot. That has been adjusted accordingly. The vehicle is out into the intersection at this point. Light is still red. Here's the tag shot. This was ran through the Department of Motor Vehicles as well. And came back to Fort Wolf Enterprises. And they also completed an affidavit naming Mr. Kent as the driver of the vehicle. So again, and then I'll stop it. So you see the light is red. Vehicle is behind the stop bar. And I can pull up a copy of the transfer of liability, Your Honor, if you'd like to see that.
Yes, please.
Just 1 second, Your Honor. All right. Okay, and here's the declaration affidavit. I can give you a copy if you'd like to read it a little easier.
Yes, sir. Anything further from the city?
Your Honor, this request the video and documentation be placed in the evidence.
Shall be done. Mr. Kent, do you have any questions of the city?
No.
Okay, what would you like to tell me?
I was only a cab driver for a very short time, and I was not a cab driver at this point.
Okay, when-
I also, it's the same boss as the other gentleman, and we also parted on bad terms, and I don't know what's going on as far as that.
All right, when were you the cab driver?
Do not even, I don't have the dates right now.
Okay, do you have an estimate of when you were a cab driver?
I think it would have started in,
Before or after the 4th of July?
it would have been, I'm thinking it was during the month of October, and ended right before Halloween.
How long did you drive cab for this company?
Less than a month.
What did you do before?
Before, I was working in, I was actually a pizza delivery guy briefly, and I was also working in a garden shop.
Okay, and when did you, do you remember specifically when you began driving cab?
I do not.
If you can, City, pull up the second photograph. What cab number did you typically drive?
It was 16.
Your Honor, the date of the offense was September the 9th, so almost 30 days prior to.
All right, Mr. Kenton, why didn't you complete the affidavit?
I didn't know anything about it, ma'am.
All right. Based upon the evidence presented, I'm going to find by competent and substantial evidence, I'm going to uphold the violation. I'm going to find that you need to pay the statutory penalty of $158 and the administrative cost of $100. How much time do you need to pay?
About 45 years.
Okay, I can give you the maximum, which is 90 days.
Okay, give me the max.
All right, 90 days. Good luck to you, sir.
Hey, hold up, buddy. Hey, I'm working with a project that's trying to get rid of red light cameras.
Okay.
Have you got a second to talk to me?
I absolutely do.
Can we go in that room? It doesn't echo as much. So we're here at City Hall. We're going to the... Could I get your name again for the record?
My name is Eric Kent.
Okay, Eric Kent. So you were telling the magistrate, I guess you call her, that you were not the cab driver at the time,
Right.
and she asked you, well, why didn't you fill out some paperwork saying it's called an affidavit, and you're supposed to specify who was driving?
How would I have known that? That would have been before I was there. And I guess they actually sent me a second one from the city of Gulfport. And let's see.
Oh, the city of Gulfport also sent you a ticket?
Yes, the city of Gulfport also sent me a ticket.
And was that one yours? I mean, do you know if you were... Here, you can just set them on that table if you want. That way I'll just...
That one would have been mine. That was my time.
What do you mean? Oh, it would have been yours. So you think that was...
That's why I haven't sent this in yet. But it was issued 10/30, so I would have been working with the taxi cab company then.
I see. But of course, the amount you drive around, you would never really know whether or not, other than the records. I mean, you wouldn't remember going through a specific intersection, would you, at a specific time?
Unless you notice the flash of light.
Uh-huh.
Actually, here's the one from the city of St. Pete.
Right.
And,
So when you got it and opened it up, did you read all the instructions included with the ticket?
I read the back of the paper, but I didn't see anything about transferring an affidavit transferring person to person. The guy who drove the cab before me ended up, he moved to cab number 15. I can tell him that, but they don't. She didn't seem to care about that. She just wants my money.
But yet she let the other guy go off with almost an identical claim.
Right.
Because I guess and she kept asking questions, and in my mind I was thinking, well, the city did not prove who was driving, so what difference does it make?
Right.
But so that she was
So should I go in there and try to do something about this?
Well, it seems to me if you had more documentation to show, if you could prove for sure that you weren't driving.
That I wasn't driving the cab at that point in time, maybe I could do it, but how can I was never a licensed cab driver. You're supposed to go down to the city hall and pay money in order to become a licensed cab driver. I never became a licensed cab driver.
Right.
I drove a cab for a couple weeks, and I was losing money almost every night because you have to pay a huge amount of money back to the leasee, the guy who owns the car.
Yeah.
And so I was running out of money all the time. I had these people steal money from me on the job. So it was a terrible job. So there was no way. I mean, my car would break down all the time. The other cab driver mentioned that. His cabs are in terrible repair. They break down on you while you're driving them. Just things fall apart on the car. And so you'd just be out of money because you have to stop driving and then they have to take it into the shop.
And now on top of all that, you have a ticket for, what, $258?
Now I have a ticket for $258. I had a surplus. I actually went from $2,000 in the bank when I started driving the cab to $400 when I left.
Wow.
When you're not making your money, you're losing money while working. It doesn't make any sense. And I worked there maybe a month at most. You know.
I see. I think because you can contest and go to circuit court.
Right, and I might.
And you have to do that within the next 30 days.
Right.
Which seems like an awful lot of work for somebody who wasn't even driving the car at the time.
Right.
But maybe since you have this other one from Gulfport that, maybe it's worth looking into because the county court goes by real rules of evidence.
So.
And not only that, on top of everything else, they made the rules now so those outstanding fines will suspend your driver's license.
Right.
So you're really up to creek.
Yeah, I really am.
I'm gonna make a separate video before you go. So you're saying you didn't have internet access at home, so
No.
you couldn't watch like a month ago you couldn't watch it. But you're saying you
No.
did see it today
I saw
downstairs?
it today. Downstairs, yes.
But you had already paid you'd already scheduled for a hearing, which.
Right.
So I think if you abort before the hearing, I think it's only $50. So basically, it would have been like $50 then to view your own violation.
Right.
And then you could have decided, okay, I guess I'm guilty or not. But in your case, you're saying you weren't driving anyway.
Right.
So then you contested it, and okay. All right. Well, thank you. That's a common problem. Some people came in. The other lady, she was like, I just wanted to see it.
Yeah.
And I'm not quite sure if everyone understands that it's an extra $100 just to see it. I mean, I suppose you go to a library or something.
Right.
But
right.
Which
I suppose I'll walk to the library and watch this other Gulfport one right now.
Yeah, maybe you can come up with a way of proving that it wasn't you. But you're saying that during that time
During
you were
that
driving.
time, I know it was me.
Okay. And what was the violation? Was it?
They're both failure to comply with the steady red signal.
But I mean, is it a straight through red?
Right, straight through red.
I see. And how many seconds was it?
I mean, obviously, this one was what, 0.2?
Yeah, that one.
And
was-
there should be a lenience on that. Anything under a second,
They
maybe?
call them eye blink. Yeah.
Right,
because
exactly. Like a 0.2 of a second is what? This?
Yeah.
This?
Yeah. It's very.
Is it,
Yeah, it's 100th of a
right,
second
right.
or so.
100th of a
and
second.
who knows how accurate their
who knows,
equipment is.
Who knows
even,
how fast that
you know.
goes?
Yeah. So I don't know where it says on there, but let's see.
Now, why did she let the other guy off and not me?
I guess she just believed that he wasn't driving the car, and in your case, she didn't think you had enough evidence to prove your own innocence, even though you think it would be the other way around.
Right.
You know, because they certainly couldn't prove that you were driving the car.
Right.
And for a taxi cab service, they can't prove anyone's driving the car.
Apparently, I have to prove my innocence. Where shouldn't it be the other way around?
You would think. I thought.
If in America, it's supposed to work the other way, right?
Yeah, guilty until proven innocent in a
Right.
court of law. This isn't a court of law.
No, innocent until proven guilty in a court of law is how way America is supposed to work, right?
Yep.
Innocent until proven guilty, but they're assuming that you're guilty until you can prove yourself innocent.
Right, exactly.
And it's a really nightmare situation they got on. I mean,
Yeah.
This is as bad as the Snowden leaks and everything else, because you're putting all this on your innocent citizens of America.
And there's almost no recourse. I mean, because you could see from her, I've attended all these hearings since they started in St. Petersburg.
Okay.
And she will not overturn a ticket unless it's extremely compelling that there's just no way that you could have had that violation.
Right.
And I mean, in my case, I would have. That's why I followed you out here after the hearing, because I thought that this was not. She let the one guy go,
Right.
and she didn't let you go, and it just doesn't. And the other guy, the older gentleman, who
Right.
said, you know, the camera showed that he was before the line, and he says he wasn't.
Right.
How do we know that there's no evidentiary chain of command for the camera for calibration,
Right.
whether it's even faked or not? There's no.
We don't know.
There's no rules. You can't contest it.
Is
So-
there a way to actually somehow maybe even just disconnect all these cameras?
Well, the city can end the program at any time, and
The
that's
city
what
can
we're
end the
hoping.
program, but they're not going to because they're making, $258 or so in complaints and $158 if they don't.
Yeah, well, that's what we're trying to do.
Exactly.
there's
So
a-
the city isn't going to stop this, not unless you can convince the city to stop this. And I don't see any way that you're going to convince the city to stop robbing its citizens. Not unless, how are you going to do that?
We have 2 new council members that will be sworn in on January 2nd, and hopefully they'll see some of this video and they'll realize that this is not about safety,
Yeah.
and this program is a terrible idea, and it is all just about the money.
Right.
But I got to get in and record the
Right.
rest.
Yeah,
but,
I do know you do.
Good luck to you.
And I actually
And,
felt really terrible when I went to vote the last time, and
Uh-huh.
I clicked for the white guy Kennedy, and didn't realize until after I clicked for him that he had actually been receiving kickbacks from the red light camera company. And I was like, oh man, I can't believe I just reelected a guy who supports red light cameras and gets kickbacks from it. And that is disgusting.
Well, he got the $500
It is
donation,
disgusting.
right, to his campaign.
It is disgusting.
But did you know, Kennedy brought it was his new business item. He brought his legislation that he proposed brought red light cameras to the city.
Yeah. Yeah.
Without
It,
him, it
it
wouldn't
made
happen.
me so sick to my stomach that I actually voted for the man.
So Lorraine
I voted for it
Margerson-
on accident.
Right.
I would
Lorraine
say-
Margerson had spoken out against the cameras, and
She's gone.
she was the one that, you would have wanted to vote for between the two if
Yeah.
that was your key issue.
That was a key issue for me, and that it's always a key issue for
So
me.
how did you
There's actually
find out later that Kennedy was?
The other gentleman in there was talking about cameras and how cool he was about cameras. There's cameras all over town nowadays. They just popped a new one up in front of the state theater. They're putting cameras all over the place, monitoring what all these people are doing, and I think it's sick.